Where do you see them right now as far as acclimating to Vic's defense and kind of just where they are?
Yeah, I think all three guys have showed moments of having a lot of good plays, and all of them have had bumps too. But that's every player, right? That's not just limited to those guys. Like, we're 1-1 at this particular point, so there's going to be good plays, there's going to be bad plays, but a lot of confidence in those guys and their abilities why we drafted them in the first place and what they can add to our defense. But we got to be better as a whole, better coaching, better playing on offense, better playing on defense.
Nick, I know Kellen's obviously calling the plays, but late in the fourth quarter when there's so much game strategy involved, what are the conversations like between the two of you? How does that communication work?
Yeah, just like it would early in the game too, to be quite honest with you, because you're discussing when you're going for it on fourth down, what third down needs to look like in attempts to go for fourth down. Sometimes third down's played a little differently. Sometimes it's not. And so all those discussions are happening. They're happening, like I said, in the first quarter. They're happening in the fourth quarter. And if Kellen and I are just having that conversation right then we've done a shitty job getting ready all week. That conversation happens throughout. That conversation happened today, right, of what we would be thinking in those scenarios. And it's just, hey, remember we said in this scenario, boom, right? So that's something that we prep for all week. And then it's just little reminders within that. And because you're right, it's like calling the game is one thing, managing the game's another thing, but they have aspects of meshing together.
Nick, to follow up on that. Just to follow up,
when you say what third down might look like, on the second to last possession specifically, the 3rd and 3, the pass, are you talking about this is a run or a pass? How many yards we need to get in order to be willing to go for it on fourth down?
Yeah, all those things, that you talk through in that scenario, and past experiences too, like that we talked about. Like last week against Green Bay, we passed the ball in 4-minute football, a couple times to really seal that game and give it the ball back to them late. It was the same scenario here. Those conversations happened last week leading into the game. What are we going to do in this scenario here? What are we going to do in this scenario there? When are we willing to pass it? When we pass it, what are we thinking? And be ready and be willing to pass it because, we've won a game that way. And then we also have lost some games where we just were too conservative and went run in those scenarios.
That some people think it's better to be up 3 than to be up 6 when you kick the field goal.
Yeah, I don't believe that. If you look at the history of that call, so initially you go through it and I'm going to try to drag myself through the mud as much as I possibly can, because quite frankly, that's the only way you get better, is to really look at your decisions, look at every decision you make, and say, hey, did I make this decision? Did I make the right decision? And sometimes the play fails for whatever reason, but you got to still look at each decision. So, in that scenario, we've put ourselves in that before, and it was a little similar to the week before where we kicked the field goal. Now there was less time left on the clock, but we were 4th and 3 at the 3, which is arguably probably a little bit more in my mind. You could go for that a little bit more in the Green Bay game than you do here, but. As I look through, so I kind of what I did is kind of look through the entire league. I said to our analytics department, could you give me every fourth down decision from when teams are in range in 4-minute offense? So, because if you're up 6, you're kicking it every single time, right? Because that's going to put you up 2 scores. But so I asked for every time it was 1 point to 5 points, the team was up. Under 4 minutes with and every fourth down from the 34 and in. And there were 4th and 1s that were going for it. I think there were 12 4th and 1s. There was a 4th and 3 that Houston went against Dallas for in 2022. And then there was a 4th and 2 that the Jets went for against Tampa. But that was it. And the rest were field goals. And I've put myself in that situation prior to the call, so I felt like in the moment, my conviction in the moment was I knew exactly what I want. Again, is the outcome always what you want? No, but your conviction in the call, I was completely convicted that kicking the field goal there was the right decision based off all my studies. Now, I come back and I reevaluate it, right? And I'm even more convicted, to be quite honest with you, because of just everything that goes into that. I think there's something else that is very noticeable. Like, as an offensive coach, you'd much be rather, like, there's a stress having to have to score a touchdown when you're, giving the ball back to a team. There's a stress in that. And I get it. They get an extra down to do so. I understand all that. But there's a different stress being down 6 as opposed to 3. So that's also my experience as an offensive coach. And you know what? Our defense had done it really, like, where we were getting hurt was in the run game. Not necessarily them dropping back and passing. Obviously we didn't do a good enough job on that drive. But to that point, we had only given up 15 points, and we were really salty in the red zone up to that point.
Take that information and apply it to your own team, because obviously your offense and the 22 Texans offense are different in that situation. How do you process that?
Yeah, so analytics is a piece. League study is a piece. This game always comes down to players and plays, right? What plays do you have the most confidence in to your players in those particular cases, right? And so that's where your confidence is coming from to go for things on that. We've been pretty darn aggressive, and I think we've probably went for it. I don't think probably we've went for it more in our plus territory than anybody else in the NFL. Why? Because Jordan Mailata. All right, he's sitting in here, so I say him first. Because Lane Johnson, because Landon Dickerson, because Jalen Hurts, because of A.J. Brown, because of Devontae Smith, because of Dallas Goedert, because of Saquon Barkley. But I could go, because of Cam Jurgens, because of Mekhi. And so, like, those are your reasons why you go for it in those scenarios. Now, again, a 4-minute scenario is a different scenario with time, the timeouts, all those different things. So those are treated different. Because no decision that a coach makes is made just on a piece of paper that says the chart says to go for it here. It's not that easy, and it's not that black and white. There's so many things that factor into it. Again, past experiences, right? So let's just talk and I'm in 4th down generally speaking right now. Past experiences, plays, players, and then plays. And so I think about we've had 2 wins against Dallas here in 22 and in 23 at home, right? Those both had 4th and 3 conversions on our plus side of the field. When you convert it, nobody really thinks that, they converted that and they got 7 points out of this, not 3. When you fail, that onus is gonna be on me, and I perfectly understand. I completely understand that and completely accept it. But Dallas, we get the NFC Championship game against the Niners. We go for it on 4th and 3, and we get a scenario there. So again, we're not analytics is a piece of the puzzle. There's all those other things that go along with it. What's the chart say in that particular case? My chart, what I say to do is to kick it. Again, the chart is one thing. You guys can punch in a number there's about 20 websites, right, that you can punch in a number and say, what did it say here? So you all can see that, but I base it off of what my studies have been and my conviction on my studies.
What was the analytics suggestion for the 3rd down, whether to run or pass?
They don't give suggestions on run pass and those. Theirs was more off of should you go for it on 4th down and 3rd down, and not what you should do run pass there. But like I said, the game before. And we lost some games last year in 4-minute where we didn't feel like we were aggressive enough. I kind of addressed this last week. But we held the ball for quite a long time. Our offensive line did a good job of blocking. Saquon did a good job of running. We won a game last week being aggressive in 4-minute. If you look at the play too, the play prior to our 4th down call, our 3rd down call, you can see that they're bringing junk inside, right? And on that play, like, Landon had to take 2 on one of them, right? And he made this miraculous play that could have been called holding on, right? Because there's guys in every gap, and some of them they're bringing an extra guy in there. And if you look at it, Landon kind of had to hook the guy so Saquon could make a great run. It wasn't like it was a real clean look. And so we knew they were jamming it up inside, and so we tried to push it to the outside. Sometimes you push it to the outside with this play we ran, and sometimes you don't. You do it with another play, but that's why we did what we did there. Again, conviction in it at the time, conviction in it still at this time.
What's wrong with the run defense?
You know, I think it always starts with us putting players in position to make plays, right? But after that, you got to, everything when you talk about run defense and when you talk about playing defense is going to start with, do you get off blocks, right? Can you play on their side of the line of scrimmage and get off blocks, and can you make the tackles when you get there? So, you know, regardless of what the call is, do we have to put them in different positions and try different things? Yeah, and the defense was trying to do that. But regardless of what the call is, it's going to be how we put our hands on people, how we knock them back, how we shed that block, whether it's a cut block or whether it's an up high block, and how we tackle after that. And so we have to build on those fundamentals, and you know, and I don't want that to sound like the coaches, we have to do that as coaches. We have to put them in positions as far as how to strike blocks. So there's two aspects of this, right? It's us as coaches putting them in position to make plays, but that's us also teaching them how to put their hands on blocks. And we're going to even, you know, we're going to make sure that we do our part as coaches, and the players got to do their part of executing it, and when that time comes.
Do you think Dallas Goedert is getting enough targets, especially after Friday without A.J. Brown, and we don't know what the situation is with him going forward, but do you think he's as involved as he needs to be at this point?
You know, obviously, you're such in a small sample size right now. We love to get Dallas the ball. You know, Dallas has gotten the ball a lot, but different teams play things different ways, whether they junk up the middle, whether they give you the things on the outside. So, yeah, would we like Dallas to have the ball more? Absolutely. Of course we would. But it's not, again, sometimes it's not that simple either, right? Because the quarterback we can't tell the quarterback just throw it to this guy. Right, he's got to read the defense. That's why playing quarterback is the hardest position in the NFL, right, or in sports, in my opinion. They have to read the defense, right, to see where the hits coming, or where the pressure's coming, where the coverage is, all those different things, and deliver the ball where it's supposed to go. And so it's not always that simple. Now we can put Dallas at the number one spot where we think it might go, but that doesn't also necessarily mean that. So do we need to get Dallas the ball more? Yeah. Is that a conscious effort? Yeah. But sometimes it's not that simple.
You mentioned the players aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
So when
Players, then plays.
Yeah. When you have Saquon, a high-level player like that, you told us in the past you yell at your coaches if they say, catch the ball. He's trying to catch the ball. So. Sure. And he knows he should have caught the ball. So how do you handle that in the moment when you're trying to make corrections, or just...
Yeah, that's as far as, when we get in here, we're not going to say catch the ball. We're going to talk about hand placement, stuff like that. And that's for a couple different things that happen as far as some catches, not just Saquon. So as far as in the moment, are you saying?
Yeah, in the moment, you have a high all-pro level player who understands, you know, he knows what he has to do.
At that point, it's about, hey, moving on from that, and if you get another opportunity to make a play, we got to do it. And I think that's the in the moment, and you give the quick coaching point, and then really use of what you think should happen, and then you kind of reemphasize that when you get to the film room.
What changes most when you don't have AJ on the offense, and how difficult was it that it happened at the end of last week?
Yeah, you know, that's not like when you're in this league long enough and you experience these things where it's like, oh shoot, whether they get hurt later in the week of practice that limits them, or they get hurt in the game prior to, and it's like he might go. So this is all part of what you end up doing. So it's not new to us to put two game plans together. And I don't want you to think it's like this game plan. There's similarities. It's just some different things. But, you know, we've been used to doing that, right? Because this is a game that people, you know, have bumps and bruises throughout the way. And so this is just common practice for us. This is part of our weekly process. What are we going to do, Bo? As far as, and hopefully I answered your question in that part, but you had a second part of that question.
Just what changes most for you guys? for example, you ran 26 plays, or 28 plays, I think, of those last 2 drives. I think like 16 of them were 4 yards or less. Do you lose that explosiveness and how?
Well, AJ's a phenomenal player, so of course you lose some of the big play ability that he brings. But you try to move guys around, whether you're running a different play or whether you're running a different person in the play that AJ would have ran. Those are all different things. So, but yeah, anytime you lose a player like AJ Brown, it's going to affect you. But again, I thought the efficiency of the offense now, again, wasn't as good what we needed to be in the red zone, but the guys that had to step up and make plays in absence of AJ did a good job.
What concerns you most about the Saints offense, especially in light of, the difficulties you guys have been having?
Yeah, I think first they have an explosive running back with Kamara. They got speed at wide receiver. Derek Carr has seen and played a lot of football, and then when he's on, he's on. And I got a lot of, being in that Charger division when he was early on, I got a lot of respect for Derek Carr because I think he can play really good football. And obviously he is playing very good football at this particular point, but they run the ball well. They're explosive with the pass game, and they're going to be a big-time challenge in a hostile environment.
You got time for 2 more?
Go ahead.
I know you spend Monday you spend Monday to Saturday preparing for these game management decisions, but in real time, who's in the booth providing you with the data?
Yeah, I have a couple guys that I rely on that we go through a lot of different things with. Kevin Patullo's a big help for me because he sits in a lot of them. Kellen's, my job also is to prepare guys to be head coaches as well. So just like Shane used to sit in with some of these meetings with me because he was calling the plays, and Brian, Kellen does the same thing. Gannon used to sit in those with me, and so you kind of go through it. You kind of go through it that way. So Kellen, Kevin, I got some eyes upstairs that are really helpful that help me think through some things as well. And again, like my game management sheet, you have that memorized, right? And it's something that you work on. You make the game management sheet. You compile it from all these different things. There's so many different pictures in your head as far as, oh, this happened in that game in 2010 or whatever it is, right? And so you have it memorized, but you also bounce it off of some guys. But some of them, sometimes the reason I have to have it memorized is because sometimes, not every time, it's make the decision, make the decision, make the decision, make the decision. It happens fast. And that's our job as coaches. So that's why it's so important that we put ourselves, if you read, I read Bill Walsh's book, and he talks about this whole aspect of, and it was a great read this summer, and I've showed it to our coaches. He talks about the whole aspect of you have to put yourself in the position when he talks about scripting plays. He talks about scripting them in the beginning, but then he goes into he wasn't ready in a game against he was with the Bengals and they were playing the Raiders or something like that, and he wasn't ready for a call. But then he put himself in all those scenarios, so he was ready for each and individual call, because you do have to make it like that. There's not time to be like, there's no pause button. There's no, what was that show? There's no Zach Morris, where you remember Zach Morris he used to pause it and it would go, and then he'd be able to think. Yeah, there's nothing like that you can do, and so that's why you have to have it memorized, and that's why you have to put the work in, quite frankly, to do that. Again, is every decision I make going to be successful? No, but every decision I make has been thought out. Is every decision I make going to be glorified? No, not even a little bit, right? Because I know the other end of it. Like, you're going to fail on something. You're not going to be perfect on fourth down decisions as far as converting them, and but that is my job as the head coach, and that's just something that comes with that's the price of doing business. It's the business that we chose, however you want to say it, and so I'll gladly take the criticisms because I know they're coming.
Last one?
After 2 straight games where the run defense was an issue, at what point do you find yourself focusing more on that, where in the past you might have been more focused offensively?
Obviously I trust those guys to do their job, and I'm still going to focus my attention that way and towards the offense and also game management. But, we talk through everything. At the end of the day, offense, defense, special teams, I'm the head coach, so I'm responsible for all of it. So if the run game doesn't look the way it's supposed to look like on defense, then I'm first and foremost responsible. So, yeah, but it's just going through our process like we normally do. So I'll have the same process with the defense as normal. We'll talk through things, and I know this, that I trust the heck out of our defensive staff. Their track record is pretty darn good, and I trust our players.
All right, thanks, folks.